Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video session, we are going to do part 5 of the Union Parliament and Union Legislature chapter 1st of Civics class 10. तो चलिए वीडियो को शुरू करते हैं। Topics to be covered in today's video session are powers and function of the Parliament, relationship between the two houses of the Parliament, procedure for the amendment of the Constitution. So without further delay, let's get into the video. Powers and functions of the Parliament. Although the primary function of the Parliament is legislation, our Parliament has to perform a series of other functions too. The main duties of the Indian Parliament can be discussed under the following 5 heads: legislative power, control over the executive; judicial power, control over the finance of the country; and electoral function. So starting with the legislative powers. Legislative means related to law. The Parliament is the law-making body at the centre level. It frames new laws and amends or repeals them, if necessary, on all the 100 subjects of the Union list and all the residuary subjects which have not found a place in any of the list. So Parliament is the law-making body at the central level. It frames new laws and amends or changes the law which have been made already. It makes laws on all the 100 subjects of the Union list, and it can also make laws on the residuary subject. Now, what does residuary subjects mean? In our constitution, we have 3 kinds of list: Union list, state list, and concurrent list. If a subject does not belong to all those lists, then that subject is known as residuary subject. And the power to make laws on those subjects by the Parliament is known as residuary powers. As far as the 47 subjects in the concurrent list are concerned, both the Parliament and state legislature have got the right to make laws. But if any state laws comes into conflict with the central law shall prevail. So, the Parliament has also powers to make laws on 47 subjects of the concurrent list. Both the Parliament and the state legislature can legislate over those subjects, can make laws over those subjects, but in case conflict occurs between the central government and the state government, the central law will prevail. It can enact laws on the 61 subject of the state list also if the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution with a 2/3 majority to the effect that the particular subject of the state list has come to assume national importance. So the Union government can also make law on the state list if any of these 4 cases happens. If the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution with a 2/3 majority that they want to make law on the state list as it is of national importance. When 2 or more states request the center to pass a law for them on one or more subjects mutually agreed upon by them. So whenever 2 states come together and say to the central government that they want to legislate them on the state subject, then the central government make laws for the state list. A state of national emergency is proclaimed by the president. If national emergency is declared in the country, then the Union government or central government has the power to legislate over the state list. President takes over the administration of a state on the breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state. Such laws will concern only the states for which they are passed. So, what does the breakdown of the constitutional machinery means? It means that a state emergency has been declared in any of the particular states. So if state emergency is declared in a state, the central government or the union government has the power to legislate over the state list. Point number D. The Union Parliament has the sole right to amend the Constitution. Although, in certain cases, this amendment should also be ratified by a majority of the states. The states can in no case initiate an amendment to the Constitution. So, the Union Parliament has the right to amend the Constitution, but in some of the cases, as exception, the state government should also give their point of view or should also be involved in the process of amendment. And in no other cases, the state can amend the law alone. So the Union Parliament has the right to amend the Constitution alone, but in some of the cases it should be ratified by the state, but in none of the cases the state has the power to amend the Constitution. In later part of video we will deal with the separate topic known as the procedure for the amendment of Constitution. Control over the executive. Now, what does executive means? Whenever a law is made, it is need to be executed or implemented, and this work is done by the executive wing of the government. So let's talk about this. Control over the executive. The government is directly responsible to the Parliament for its act of omission and commission. The members of the government, that is the minister, are chosen from among the members of the majority party in the Parliament, and they hold office only till they enjoy the confidence of the Parliament. To be more precise, that of the Lok Sabha. The Parliament in this way is a controlling body of the government. It exercises this control through different ways as are given below. So, in this paragraph, it has been told that government is directly responsible to the Parliament for all the acts which it has done and also for the acts which it has not done. The members of the government, that is the ministers, are chosen from among the majority party who secure maximum vote in the Lok Sabha. So, they are in the Parliament till they enjoy the confidence of their party. If the no confidence is passed, the whole ministry has to resign, particularly the Lok Sabha. There are different ways to control executive. Let's study them. Question R. An hour a day in the daily routine of the Parliament when in session is reserved for asking questions from the government. The members can ask any question relating to the administration and policies, and the ministers are obliged to answer them. So every first hour of the working day in the Parliament is reserved for question hour. Here, various ministers asked and raised questions relating to the administration and policies brought up by the ministers in the Parliament. So in this way, the whole ministry takes control over the executive. Vote of no confidence. If a government flouts the constitution and acts in contravention of the provision thereof, the government can be voted out of the office by passing a vote of no confidence against the Prime Minister or the ministry as a whole or any of its members. In such a case, the whole ministry has to resign. So what does vote of no confidence means, or how does it exercises control over the executive? So if a government refuses to accept the constitution and acts in opposition to the provisions of the constitution, the government can be voted out through a vote of no confidence against the Prime Minister and his whole ministry by not giving vote to their provisions. In this way, they will secure no confidence motion, and a no confidence motion will pass. Therefore, whole the ministry has to resign. Other motion of census. The Parliament can exercise its control over the government by a number of other motion also, which if passed to which if passed amount to no confidence. They include the adjournment motion, motion of censure against a minister or ministers, rejection of a government bill, passing of a private member's bill against the wishes of government. So what census motion means, that if a person is doing something against or criticizing a particular policy or minister, then a motion of census can be passed against him. So in parliament, this can also lead to the no confidence motion, and it contributes in the exercise over the control of the executive. Monetary controls. The parliament can hold the strings of the government tight by voting a cut in the annual or supplementary budget, or a cut in the salaries of the minister in the face of opposition from the treasury benches. It also appoints the Public Accounts Committee to examine the mode of the government expenditure. The Comptroller and Auditor General of the India act as its financial advisor. So monetary means the matters dealing with money. So parliament hold the strings of the government tight by voting a cut in the annual or supplementary budget. Now what does supplementary budget? For every year a budget is passed by the financial minister in the Lok Sabha, and supplementary budget is kept for extra needs. So government can hold the strings of the government tight by a cut in both of the budget, that are the annual budget or the supplementary budget, or also by cut in the salaries of ministers of the parliament. It also appoints the Public Account Committee to examine the mode of government expenditure. The Comptroller and Auditor General are the person who are the financial advisor of this particular matter. Judicial function or judicial power. Judicial means that to see that whether everything is according to the law or not. There is no denying the fact that the parliament is mainly a legislative body, but it enjoys certain judicial power as well. Some of them are narrated below. It can impeach the president for any violation of the constitution. So as we all know that the parliament is the legislative body, but in some of the cases it also enjoys the judicial function, as in the process of impeachment of the president if he acts in violation of the constitution. In my previous video I had explained you what does impeachment means. Impeachment means that it is a motion which is passed for the removal of persons like president, vice president, judges and chief justice of the court if they act in contravention to the constitution or if they act in opposition to the constitution. So the parliament can impeach the president if he acts in violation to the constitution. Charges can be framed by either of the two houses of the parliament by a 2/3 majority. If the charges are established by the other house by same majority, the president stands impeached and he is at once removed from his office. So for the removal of president, charges can be initiated in either of the two houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, by a 2/3 majority. You need to keep in mind by how much majority. So you must underline it from whatever book you are studying, that is 2/3 majority. If the charges are established by the other house by the same majority, that is the 2/3 majority, the president stands impeached and he is at once removed from his office. The President has the right to remove the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court, the Chief Election Commissioner and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India if they are found guilty of violating any clause of the Constitution. For this purpose, the motion can be moved if supported by 1/4 members of either house and carried only if 2/3 members of each house vote in favor of the motion. So persons like judges of Supreme Court, High Court, Chief Election Commissioner, Comptroller, Auditor General, etc., can also be removed from their post if they are found guilty of violating the Constitution. For this purpose, the motion has to be moved by only 1/4 of the members of that particular house and carried by just 2/3 members of each house. Parliament can condemn any person if he is found guilty of defamation and contempt of either house of the Parliament. In 1961, the Parliament reprimanded the editor of the Blitz for bringing a member of the Parliament to contempt and ridicule. So the Parliament has also the power to declare something wrong if Parliament found that a person is changing reputation of another person or harming the reputation of the member of the House of the Parliament. In 1961, it was done when the Parliament has officially declared that the editor of Blitz was doing wrong for bringing a member of the Parliament to contempt and ridicule. Fourth number point, control over the finance of the country. The Union Parliament is the custodian of the national purse. Neither a pie can be spent on any item nor a passe can be collected by the way of taxes without the prior approval of the Parliament. Annual budget, the statement of the sources of income and the items of expenditure for the coming year, popularly called the budget. So from here you get the definition of budget, is presented in the Parliament by the Union Minister for Finance with the prior approval of the President. The Parliament is empowered to vote a cut in the budget or to reject it as a whole. So, annual budget means it is the statement of the source of incomes and the items of expenditure for that particular year, which is presented in the Parliament by the Union Minister for Finance, that is by the Finance Minister with the prior approval, that means with the prior permission of the President. The Parliament is empowered to vote a cut in the budget. So Parliament has the power to vote to cut some amount from the budget, or it can also reject the whole budget as a whole. Consolidated Fund of India. Some items of budget are charged from the Consolidated Fund of India. The Parliament has the right to debate the propriety of this item, but it cannot vote on them. So, Consolidated Fund of India means some of the items of the budget are charged from the Consolidated Fund of India, that is from the Fund of India. And who all are charged from the Consolidated Fund of India? The person like President, Vice President, the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court are charged from the Consolidated Fund of India. The Parliament can debate for pensions and salary given to those members, but it cannot vote on them. It can raise debate on that particular topic, but it has not the power to vote on all those topics. Supplementary demands. The finance minister may come out with some supplementary demands in the later half of the financial year. Such demands are called the supplementary budget and are treated by Parliament just as the annual budget. So what is difference between supplementary budget and annual budget? The annual budget is presented in the Parliament just at the beginning of every fiscal year, that is the financial year, but the supplementary budget is passed by the finance minister at the later half of the financial year, and such demands are called supplementary budget and are treated by the Parliament just as the annual budget. Salary and allowances of the members of the Parliament. It is the privilege of the Parliament to decide the salaries and allowance of its own member and also those of the Minister and the Chief Justice and judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. But this is to be borne in mind that in all the financial matter, it is the Lok Sabha which has the real power. The Rajya Sabha has little power in this regard. So, won't you think that you do a work and you get the opportunity to decide that how much wage or how much salary you need to get for that particular work? It's amazing, yes? If you do a work and you are given the right to decide how much salary do you want for that work? So similarly, it is the privilege for the parliament to decide the salary of its own member, and also for the other people, that are the ministers of the parliament, the chief justice and judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. But it must be noted here that it is the Lok Sabha which has the real power when it's come about the money. When the money topic is being discussed, the Lok Sabha has a real power. The Lok Sabha is vested with the real power, and the Rajya Sabha has very little power in this regard. Electoral function. The Indian Parliament has to perform certain electoral duties as well, such as the Parliament of India along with the Vidhan Sabha elect the President of India. The Vice President of India is elected by both the houses of Parliament. The Lok Sabha elects its own speaker and deputy speaker from among its own member, while the Rajya Sabha elects its deputy chairman only. So the Indian Parliament also perform the electoral function. Electoral function means function relating to electing all those who are part of the parliament. So parliament enjoys all this function. Parliament along with the legislative assembly elects the President of India. The Vice President of India, that is the chairman or chief executive of the Rajya Sabha, is elected by both the houses of Parliament. That means Vice President of India is elected by the elected members of both the houses of Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And the Lok Sabha elects its own speaker and deputy speaker from among its members, while the Rajya Sabha elects its deputy chairman only. So we have seen three cases, that President is elected by both the houses of Parliament along with the legislative assembly. Vice President is elected by both the houses of Parliament. But the Lok Sabha speaker is elected by only Lok Sabha members, and deputy speaker is also elected by only Lok Sabha members, while the Rajya Sabha deputy chairman is elected by only Rajya Sabha members. I think this video will be too long if I cover the topic relationship between the two houses of Parliament and points of differences between the two houses of the Parliament. So let's do this topic in the next video. That's all for this video. If you find this video useful, do subscribe to the channel and comment down below if you have any query in this topic. Thank you for watching this video.